now, and I'd be so happy if everybody would just switch on their cameras and say hello. I've just sent in a message as a reminder to everybody to please remember, if you'd like to share any messages, the chat is open to you. I hope everybody's able to have access to the chat. And also, if you're going to be on social media sharing some of today's content on social media, don't forget to use the hashtag 5 years of acing it. We're ready to start today, celebrating the launch, of course, of the 5th Africa Center for Evidence annual report. We have ACE management, our external stakeholders from different parts of the world. So it's the end of the day, some it may be the beginning, some it may just be the middle of your day. You're all welcome, and we thank you so much for making the time to be able to celebrate with us today as we celebrate the launch of the 2021 Africa Center for Evidence report. So ground rules are, if you're able to have access to the mic, please do not switch on your mic unless you have something to say. There's a feature on MS Teams for you to raise your hand should you wish to have anything to say, but if it's not working, I welcome you stating, of course, using your mic to say, I'd like to make a contribution. So we may begin. Ruth, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ruth Stewart, and I have the privilege of leading the Africa Center for Evidence at the University of Johannesburg. For many of us, it feels like maybe a drink after work, a small gathering as we come to the end of our day. But I also appreciate that depending on time zones, for some of you, it's just the beginning. So thank you very much for making the effort to come and join us today. I wish we could have been welcoming you at the door with a glass of juice or a coffee or a glass of champagne as you joined us. Unfortunately, the technology isn't quite that advanced yet, maybe one day. So this morning is all about launching our 5th annual report, our 2021 annual report. It marks ACE's 5th birthday. And although we're still very young, maybe out of the toddler years now, just beginning to start school, and we recognise we still have a long way to go and a lot to learn, but we're also very proud of what we've achieved and what we've achieved together with many of you who are here today. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass over to each of our portfolio leads to just give some highlights from 2021 and indeed from the last 5 years. And they will each introduce themselves and share a little bit about their work. So I'm going to pass straight over to you, Karina. Over to you.
Great, thanks, Ruth. Karina van Rooyen. I am at ACE the portfolio lead for evidence capacities. And if I reflect on 2021, I think the highlight for us was actually piloting and then launching our short learning program on practices of evidence-informed decision-making. It's a 14-week course, an online course fully at the moment. And it's the product of lots of work that probably, I think, stretches over a good 2 years of everyone in ACE that really co-produced the course with us. And I think for me, there's 4 unique features of our SLP, I think, that I think had us really proud. The one is the social learning approach of the course. And social learning, we really consciously use that as a pedagogy approach in our course to really foreground the importance of relationships and evidence use. And so we bring that into the very nature of how we learn and share together in the course as well. I think another element is that it's one of the few EIDM courses that's really totally across sectors. It's not only focused on health or on the environment or on education. It really is across sectors, and it's also across the evidence ecosystem in terms of stakeholders. It's not focused only on researchers or only on the decision makers or intermediaries. It's really right across. And I think the 4th element probably is that it really takes a systems lens to EIDM. And I think the inspiration, or maybe I shouldn't say the inspiration, maybe for me the SLP is manifesting what the AEN manifesto on capacity development for EIDM in Africa really set out as its principles. And the manifesto was launched in early 2021, following work before, during, and then after Evidence 2020, which Siziwe is going to chat about just now, lots of the work that's been happening in the evidence communities portfolio. And I think for me, what's probably been, if I really have to say, put that one thing over of last year, I think that's really excited me is the work that we've been doing across the portfolios. That's really, I think, where the exciting things have been happening. And I was looking, Ruth, for when I was thinking about our launch today, I was reminded of our launch event of ACE in 2017, when we were on campus physically together and we had these stations and people moving around, and Lawrence and Zafir with their balloons. What fun stories. And I actually remembered, I went to look at my slides and I had to talk about training at ACE, and I used the analogy of penguins. And I remember I was looking at the slides and I ended the slides with the little penguin that's trying to fly with the flippers and says, I believe I can fly. And I think the highlight for me really is that we're taking off. We're getting flying. Siziwe, I think it's over to you.
Thank you, Karina. My name is Siziwe Ngwabe. I am the Evidence Communities lead. I think when I was requested to reflect on the past 5 years, I thought, oh, I started at ACE. So that was the beginning. But when you join such an organization, then you find yourself in swimming in flagship events. You've never done events before. There was Africa Evidence Week 2019. This was the first event. I think we did 34 activities. And then last year, 104 events. That's the biggest highlight for me, to make sure that everyone in the continent becomes part of these events. Evidence 2020 as well was one of the highlights as well of the work that we've done, where we had a working event. That's something that we've never done before. We worked together, and then outputs came out of that, and we are still working on those. The manifesto is one of those. The evidence capacities webinar series is still going on. We're having one on the 15th of June. So it's really amazing how we moved from just starting or me joining the AEN and getting to this point where members are part of everything that we do. And now we have these huge flagship events. 4 events later, I have gray hair, I think, but that's that's the biggest highlight. And really, it's been fun to bring together the evidence ecosystem. Over to you, Lawrence.
Thanks, you talk about gray hair. I talk about hair. So thanks for taking us back to the penguins too, Karina. Yeah, that was good fun. So I'm Lawrence Mahlanza-Langa. I lead the evidence synthesis portfolio together with Andile Madonsela and Promise Nduku, who are also on this call. Yeah, reflecting on 2021, it was a busy year again. This tsunami of COVID that kind of led decision makers to request evidence that starting in 2020 really did carry over in our context. So the team has been really busy responding to lots of different types of demands for evidence to inform decision making, and oftentimes really rapidly, like within a day, within a few hours. If we get a week to respond, well, that's nice. We can relax a little bit. But obviously that's a good sign. Like, we're really happy about this demand, and we want to get to our mission and vision of using evidence to improve decision making for poverty reduction. And we also know that decision makers do want trustworthy, relevant evidence, and it needs to fit into their time frame, so it needs to be rapid. And I think reflecting over the 5 years, we have learned quite a bit on how to get there. And what I would mention is the work together with the Department of Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation, which does look into how do you have policy relevant evidence bases in place, so that when the demand comes for evidence, you're ready to respond. That if you only have a day, you can draw from an evidence base. And so that's work that we're calling policy relevant evidence mapping. And it's been busy the last 5 years. We've done 31 of these maps in different policy areas. So Promise and Andile, I think we're all a little bit mapped out. but it has allowed us to respond rapidly. And I think that's where we've seen most traction, where evidence has informed high-profile decision-making at national policies. So it's been an exciting journey, but maybe the most exciting thing, I think, is that we're now seeing institutionalization of these responsive evidence bases and other colleagues running responsive evidence services in different sectors. So it's kind of this idea of having the evidence base in place to respond rapidly. COVID has kind of shed a light on it, and now we see these structures being put in place. And it's been a really nice learning journey together with the public sector, who's kind of with DPME has spearheaded that innovation together. So it's been nice. Thanks. Over to you, Ruth.
Colleagues, thank you very much. It's really exciting to hear what's happening across the portfolios. And of course, our fourth and final portfolio is the art and science of evidence use. We're working to ensure that we learn from and contribute to the cutting edge of art and science of evidence use across Africa. Just before we were formally founded as ACE, some of us, Lawrence in particular, was involved in the Science of Using Science report, the 2016 report, through our partnership with the Epicenter. And we've been collecting and collating evidence from across the continent on what we know about using evidence on the continent from research studies, and also from the experiences and expertise of teams across the continent. So first-hand accounts, often stories of change, but also the learning exchanges we've had over the years and the many partnerships we have. Many of you are here with us today. And in this area of work, we aim to share not just what others are doing, but also what ACE is learning. And so in preparation for this afternoon, I went back and I looked through our annual reports over the last 5 years, and really feeling very proud that we've published 220 academic papers and written reports. And for a small team, that feels like a lot more writing. My guilt conscience will disappear slightly. And we've also shared our work through 135 presentations and dialogues and panels. So I'm really proud of what we've achieved. I'm really looking forward to the future, to continuing to support evidence-informed decision-making over the next 5 years, and to doing so in partnership. And that includes co-production and other models of partnerships within South Africa, and thinking more broadly around our relationships with teams across the continent and how we can be supportive of the wider ecosystem. It includes working more closely together across our portfolios. Karina hinted earlier on that some of the most exciting stuff happens when we all get together. And by no means are we working in silos, but we're trying now to think about designing programs for the future that are more integrated. And it also includes working together more closely through our partnerships and through our relationships across the Africa Evidence Network. So I think the future is bright. We're very excited. We know there are a lot of challenges, but we're really looking forward to building on what we've achieved in the last 5 years for the future. And now I'm passing back to you, KK, as our chair today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth, Karina, Lawrence, Siziwe, for all the hard work you've been putting in to make sure that we at ACE continue to ace it. So my highlight is having been fortunate enough to join the ACE team and be part of the ACE team since 2021. So that means I made it just on time to make the 2021 annual report. Talk about luck. So if you'd like to read more, and we urge you to please read the annual report. I've shared a link in the chat for you to be able to access the annual report. Also, we had a series last year for 5 years of acing it, 2021. There are interesting stories there shared by our storyteller, Aziza Modise. So please feel free to engage with those blogs. There's also a final part if maybe you're not in a mood to read this evening or this afternoon. It's just videos of the same faces you just seen sharing all these awesome insights and conversations about the Africa Center for Evidence for the past 5 years and how we look forward, of course, to continue acing it going forward. So to the next segment of our event, I'm going to introduce a friend of ACE, our partner in supporting evidence use, Professor Sandy Oliver. Professor Sandy Oliver is a distinguished visiting professor at the Africa Center for Evidence here at the University of Johannesburg within the Faculty of Humanities. She's the director of the Social Sciences Research Unit and the deputy director for the Evidence for Policy and Practice Information and Coordinating Center at the University of College London Institute of Education. For 30 years, her interests have focused on the interaction between researchers and people making decisions in their professional and personal lives. With this in mind, she has been developing methods to collate knowledge from whole bodies of research, systematic reviews, and not just single studies. Most recently, this has been in the area of international health systems and development, where she has conducted systematic reviews and built up a program of support for research teams coordinating reviews elsewhere. She's a member of the board of the Campbell Collaboration, a Cochrane editor with their Consumers and Communications Review Group, and a member of the Center for Excellence in Development, Impact and Learning. She has been working with the UK Department of International Development, the Alliance for Health Policy and Systems Research at the World Health Organization, and the Research Evidence and Development Initiative, in acronyms, read it, to strengthen capacity in systematic reviewing in low and middle income countries. We are happy to have you here, Professor Sandy, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us today about 5 years of acing it. I am going to try to unmute you, Prof. Sandy.
Thank you very much, KK.
Great.
I'm delighted to share this celebration with you all, and I'm very proud to be associated with the Africa Center for Evidence and the University of Johannesburg. And I'm excited to see all your achievements over your first 5 years. And now I'd like to tell everyone else how much I value your work. So I see ACE colleagues as exceptional in how they engage with evidence and decisions. Exceptional not just for Africa, but as leading thinking internationally. ACE is exceptional in lots of ways, but I'd like to mention a few issues that leapt out at me when I read and reread the last 5 annual reports. I'd like to highlight 3 exciting elements of ACE's work. First, the emphasis on evidence work as a social enterprise. Second, ACE's long-term vision and political awareness. And third, their awards for excellence. So taking these one at a time, colleagues at ACE pay very careful attention to the quality of their work so that their products stand scrutiny around the world. Their success rests largely on their investment in people doing the work. Not only do they invest in the technical and management skills that underpin projects, they also invest in relationships, building trust between individuals and organizations, and building communities that can achieve so much more by working together. I noticed that the 7 explicit values underpinning their work, only one of them is about the technical quality of their work. They're unwavering in delivering high quality work on time and to budget. The other 6 are all about people, about making a positive rights-based and socially just difference, being committed to equity and equality, focusing on building trust and relationships, dedicated to sharing capacity and opportunity, respectful of others' expertise, experiences and perspectives, and committed to zero tolerance for any form of discrimination, harassment or abuse. It's their recognition of people at the centre of this work, rather than research being at the centre, that is echoed in their portfolio about the art and science of using evidence. It includes the practical experiences and tacit knowledge of people from across Africa, as well as the research evidence and understanding the context of decision making. And they make this all fun. all the time, but especially their evidence conferences, whether in person or online, they lead the way. I'm also particularly impressed by ACE's long-term ambitious vision to see an end to poverty and inequality in South Africa and across the continent. This is no airy-fairy wishful thinking. ACE has thought through very carefully the steps that they can take to contribute to this vision and how they will monitor and evaluate their progress. ACE knows they can't do this alone, so they align their work with other people who have ambitious visions for their country and continent. Africa Union's Agenda 2063 and South Africa's National Development Plan 2030. Again, these are not empty words, as they work closely with South Africa's government and align their work with and contribute to the National Development Plan. ACE has a really impressive record of working with their government to develop systems that support debates and decisions informed by the evidence. And to complement their efforts to embed working with evidence into government systems, they are also embedding these ways of thinking into the university, developing staff and students with new courses and mentoring. And lastly, their emphasis on technical excellence and on investing in people is apparent from the awards that they offer for celebrating achievements. It's always exciting to see the lead up and the final decision about the Africa Evidence Leadership Award. And this is matched by the awards they've won themselves, as they've been recognised for their transparent ways of working and the quality of their science. Thank you so much for inviting me to share this celebration with you. I'm looking forward over the next 5 years to seeing ACE go from strength to strength.
Thank you so much, Prof. Sandy. I think it's safe to say that there is no eye that is not teary at this moment. Everybody that heard what you said, I think the ACE management team is encouraged. I think all of the ACE team is encouraged by what you said, and I think we can steer forward this ship, having and holding that encouragement to heart. So for the next segment of our event, we want to hear from you. It wouldn't be an ACE event if it didn't require engagement. So we want to hear from you about your journey with the Africa Center for Evidence, either as a funder, a friend, or a partner in supporting evidence use. Please raise your hand. If you're unable to, just enable your mic and then you can start speaking. I am happy to have, I'm happy to select and pick on anyone, but I know that most of you have much to share about the journey that you've walked with ACE and about being part of the evidence community in general. This is very interesting because for the past 5 publications, including the one we're launching today, there's actually a segment on our annual report that says our partners in supporting evidence use, our people, staff, everyone. So you know you've been featured in one of the 5, either the one we're launching today, in the previous year, or yeah. So I know all of you who've been featured by heart. Some of you have made it here today. And maybe to kick us off would be Natalie. I saw your hand first, and then Curtius. You may follow. The mic is yours, Natalie.
Thanks so much, KK. I was really trying to hold myself back to give others the opportunity to speak, because those of you who know me know that I speak far too much and far too often. But if I reflect on the last 5 years of my journey with ACE, were the one thing that stands out to me is how wonderful it's been working as part of this team who gives you the freedom to explore interests that that support the organizational development. And for me, in my particular case, that was really fanning the flame and giving me license to explore my personal interest in workplace well-being. And then, of course, marrying that with, you know, the emphasis of drawing on evidence and really understanding the world through the use of evidence. That's been one of the highlights of my journey with ACE that I would love to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Coach Herbs was actually featured on the 2021 ACE annual report.
Yeah, so I was just trying to hold myself back a bit for others equally to start. But I just had to give in since no hands was coming up. So it's good to see Natalie started. Just to mention that, so I have known colleagues in ACE, even before ACE, from the days of Africa Evidence Network's beginning. And so by the time ACE was coming up, it was quite exciting. And then different activities, and some of us got invited to join and participate in and lead in some of them. It's been very exciting, you know, working with colleagues. And I think Sandy highlighted some of the key, you know, distinguishing elements of working with colleagues at ACE, including the relationships, the investments in relationships. And it's been outstanding to the extent that sometimes I get lost as in which side I'm supporting. Am I supporting AEN or I'm supporting ACE? And, you know, because I keep playing roles here and there, but it's been amazing. And thanks, colleagues, for keeping the touch and for, yeah, leading all of us this far.
Thank you very much, Coach Herbs, for your contribution. We have Harsha. The mic is yours.
Thank you so much, KK. And thanks to Natalie and Kirsha for warming the space already, for allowing the first round of just everyone sharing their comments. I think if I can maybe just say, Sandy's words have really touched me as well, just to say that, you know, the last 5 years may seem to have, it sounds long, or it may seem to have just whizzed past, but there was a before COVID story, there was a during COVID story, and now we are emerging out of COVID story. And we've all survived, and we've elevated the work of, you know, everything that we are feeling passionate about that brings us together today to such great heights that, you know, I think for me it's just very sentimental to say not only have we survived it, but we've grown together, we've learned together, we've, you know, taken strides in terms of directions we didn't know where it was going to take us, but that trust element that Sandy mentioned is so critical that it almost feels like, you know, you need a base camp to come home to. And from there, you can learn to fly, you can learn to do whatever is needed and move on, and you come back to base camp. It almost feels to me very much this journey that will never be ended, because you have so much more to do each time. So yeah, I think ACE represents a very sentimental part for me, and it's interesting because the milestones ACE is going through, I'm also going through a bit of the similar milestones of looking back at 5 years and writing up so much of what we've done together. And if it wasn't for ACE, the work of JPMA would never have gone out in the way it had done, because we had no idea what we were busy doing that was so relevant, so needed, and maybe putting you know, Africa on the map. And I'm talking about it as Africa. People will probably know my passion for bringing out the work of Africa as well. So thank you, colleagues. Thanks to everybody in the room for making it so special and warm and inviting, and you just feel like you're coming home each time when you engage with anybody at ACE. So thank you, Ruth, for the leadership and putting us all on the map. Thanks.
Thank you, Harsha. Thank you very much. The mic opportunity is going once. Thank you very much, John. The mic is yours.
Great, thanks. I don't think oh, can you see me if I turn my camera on? Yes, okay, great. So good to see everybody. I didn't see anybody else speaking, so I didn't know if that was an option. I've known ACE since its precursor BCure days, where I was blown away by the work, and the admiration has only grown over the years. It's a real beacon of hope and inspiration for many of us. And I was just thinking about some of the ways that we've learned from you, and it sometimes takes a long time to put learnings into practice. One has been from the early days, we were so struck by how successful you were with building relationships with what I think of as central government agencies like DPME. And it's taken us all these years to get there. And today we have our very first call with the number 2 in our Privy Council office, which oversees the entire public service in Canada. And so it's taken us a long time, but we're slowly catching up to you on that front. Another area that we've been inspired, and we still haven't quite got there, but I feel like we're getting close, is with evidence maps. So we see how policymakers respond so positively to them, but it's a new skill set that we haven't yet fully mastered, but we're optimistic that we'll get there. And during COVID, as like Sandy, a visiting adjunct professor, I haven't been able to visit, but we've had a fair amount of interaction, and ACE was critically important with COVID, and in many ways, but one was with the Living Hub of COVID-19 knowledge hubs, which Promise and Lawrence developed, and which many people have commented to us they found so helpful. And then one other point of connection, which I'll raise, because in the last few days I saw a tweet that one of our students just began work with ACE, and our students always come back from their time with you just speaking with such admiration of your work, how well treated they've been, how formative an experience it was, and they vibrate for months after they return to Canada. So you do something very magical there, and we're very grateful for the relationship. So hard to believe it's only been 5 years, but as Sandy said, I'm sure in the next 5 you'll continue to blow us away with new insights, and we'll continue to learn from you, and I hope continue to collaborate with you. So congratulations on the anniversary.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is there anybody gunning for the mic? Julianne, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I am joining with that words because, for example, in the hub LAC, Latin American hub, is very notorious your work. It's amazing, and you are a point of view for us. And in fact, we try to do same that you, because you are really recognized for us for your work. So sorry. Enjoy, and that is amazing that your anniversary. So happy anniversary.
Thank you very much, Julianne. If there's anybody who'd like to take the mic, one last opportunity. And Dilema Donsela, saving the best for last.
So much pressure, Keke. Hello everyone. Good afternoon, good morning. As like the last born of ACE, I felt the need to speak as well, to speak on behalf of those born in the 2000s who will be joining us quite soon. It has really been great to be working at ACE. It's such an enabling space, and I've grown so much in the space, and I really wish that we can grow even further so that the 2000s that are joining us could experience the very same thing that I'm experiencing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andile, for representing. And we're coming to a close now. Thank you so much for the contributions, for the comments, for the messages of support. We're coming to the conclusion now. We're ending this beautiful launch celebration. And we just like to thank, as the Africa Center for Evidence, each and every one of you that took the time out today to join us, that took the time out to be part of the celebration. And we hope to see more of you. This is not the end. 2022 annual report is work in motion. And we've been happy to have you in the past, and we are happy to have you for the future. So from the Africa Center for Evidence, thank you so much for making it to today's event. And we look forward to acing it beyond 5 years. May we all please switch on our cameras so we can say goodbye, and I can have a beautiful picture for our social media.
And I wanted to make a celebratory noise.
It's allowed.
I will wait. I will wait.
Why are you waiting?
Because I'm not sure that should be on camera.
That's what we're waiting for.
I practiced this last in 2010, so I'm not sure this will be so great.
We must get our vuvuzelas out for a new World Cup.
No, it's not gonna work. We'll just ululu.
You need your vuvuzela, Karina. Vuvuzela would.
Thank you so much, everybody. The link to the annual report is in the chat, and you can read the 5 years of acing it blog, capturing the history, documenting the growth and development of the center. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you today.